Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to the All About Favor channel. I'm your host, Pastor KZ. All this week, I'm wearing rivalry schools. Today, I'm wearing Clemson University, the Clemson Tigers located in South Carolina. The eyewear all this week I'm wearing is pieces that have been selected for the eyewear line. Thank you all so much, subscribers. And those of you who have yet to subscribe, hit the subscribe button. At the end of the video, please hit the thumbs up, comment, like, and share the videos. All this week, we are talking about generational dysfunction. So let's talk about it. Today's topic, the home you grew up in. The home you grew up in. See, everyone has a different story to tell of the home that they grew up in. But do you know you can ask siblings who grew up in the same home and they will tell you totally different versions of the home. They will give you a different version of what they experienced. Now, some of you that had the perfect childhood and the perfect family, this really ain't for you, okay? Just not for you. And it's okay. But what we're endeavoring to do all week is to scratch the surface, to get people to thinking and open up some of those wounds so that you can get healed. See, all we've been doing for years and years, a lot of people, is just putting a Band-Aid on something, and you're not really getting healed from the inside out. You're just doing the best you can to survive and to keep stuff hidden, so you really just don't want to have to deal with it. But sometimes it comes a point where you got to peel back the layers and uncover some of the things that you went through in order to be a better person. Some of these bad relationships and toxic relationships and some of these behaviors men and women have been exhibiting, I believe, stems from your childhood, stems from the home you grew up in. Now, as I said, I am not an expert or a guru of any sort, but what I am doing is just offering some thoughts and some opinions to help empower you and help encourage you to get past some of this stuff, because it is affecting you in your adult lifehood. And some of the ways that you grew up, some of the homes you grew up in, I remember some of the letters that the emails from the men on last week. Some of these men have some really sordid views of women. And the same with women. Some of these women, they don't trust men. It's just certain things. And some of these guys have said, I'm just like my daddy. I'm just like my uncles. I'm like my grandfather. This is what men in my family do. We was taught to put our hands on women. We were taught to not to cry because that makes you weak as a man. We were taught these behaviors. So we're endeavoring to pull back some layers on some of this stuff that has been passed on from generation to generation to generation. And y'all, some of this mess, and I'm going to say it, mess that occurred in these homes, in these families for years and years and years, it does affect people. Now, like I said, for those of you who had the perfect home, this ain't for you, and God bless you for having such a perfect life. But sometimes you sitting around pretending to have had a perfect life, a perfect home, and you're omitting the truth, or you're denying the truth, or you're keeping these secrets, or you basically have blocked it out because thinking about it causes too much pain. Let's just be honest. People are fallible. That includes our parents. That includes our grandparents. That includes our great-grandparents, those of you who knew your great-grandparents. Some of these things were passed on, and like I said, I'm just here giving my opinions, not an expert. Now, here are some things that you shared with me via your emails. Pastor KZ, I grew up in what was a good home filled with love. We went to church, all that good stuff. We went on vacations together, but sometimes, well, I'll say it out loud now, sometimes our lights were off. Sometimes our water was cut off. I'd hear my mama crying at night. Sometimes I would even hear her telling my daddy that I am sick of this. We don't never have no extra money. I'm always having to go borrow money from people. Yet, when we got out in public and went around people, you'd never know our lights had been off. Deep down inside, I gotta say this. Even though I love him, my father was not a good provider. Here's another one. Pastor KZ, here's a dysfunctional secret. I think my parents were unhappy. Deep inside, I don't think they even liked each other. There was always some awkward, intense moments in our home. I knew my pops had other women because when I was a little boy, he'd take me with him and tell me, don't mention this to your mama. As I got older, I realized why he'd always buy me things and want to take me with him. That was so he can get out the house. Pastor KZ, I'm a grown man now, and I'm thinking back this, you were right. This week's show, it done set me off. Because my daddy was using me to get out the house, this angered me so much as I got to be a teenager. Guess what I did? I started blackmailing him. Wait. I started blackmailing my daddy. How sick was that? I grew up with a lot of anger and a lot of resentment, Pastor KZ. But you know what? I did my wife the same way. I take my little 4-year-old son with me, just to prove to her I wasn't cheating. So I'm taking my son with me. All along, here I am doing the exact thing with my boy that was done to me by my pops. Yep, I think you're onto something here. Generational dysfunction. Here's another one. Let me pause it here. No matter what you say, some of your issues from the home you grew up in does have long-term effects on your life. If you don't address this stuff now, it's just going to be passed on, and it keeps going on from generation to generation, y'all. We can't make light of this stuff, and I am saying this especially to our people, our ethnicity, in our racial background, and even in some of my Latina sisters and brothers. You know what? These things are taboo. These things happen on the regular in our ethnicities, and it's never talked about because we were taught to keep it silent. Do not talk about it. Just pray about it. Keep your mouth shut. That's what we were taught. So we were not taught to go to counseling. Think about it. If our grandparents and great-grandparents went to therapy, if they were taught to journal, if they were taught to have support groups, and if support groups were offered, imagine the healing that could have taken place. The only thing, I'm going to talk about our race. The only thing our race was always taught to do was go to church, read the Bible, and pray about it. And just, baby, it ain't as bad as it seems. God gonna work it out. That's what we're taught. And it goes on from generation to generation. So the little girls, the little boys grow up going to revival, going to vacation Bible school, and these children is messed up. They scarred. All of them that's not getting abused at the home or some chaos is going on there. I hate to say this, and I'm going to have a show on this because I know this right here is going to really make somebody's head snap. Some of that abuse happened right at church. Why do you think a lot of people, especially in our race, we don't have sleepovers? But a lot of my other sisters and brothers from other mothers, if you get what I'm saying, of other ethnicities, y'all had a lot of sleepovers. And a lot of abuse went on at those sleepovers. Y'all look at some of these different religious entities. And I'm not going to call them out because you've heard enough about them. Think about, and when I was saying the church, the home you grew up in, I'm also talking about your church home. Think about some of the things that you witnessed or some of the things you actually experienced. You know how many adult males, they messed up because of the religious affiliation they had growing up. What happened to these little boys? And I'm not just talking about one particular religious organization. It happened across the board. Doesn't matter what it is. I don't care if you AME, CME, MBA, Primitive Baptist, Catholic, You go to the synagogue. This stuff has happened. Whether you were in the choir, the praise team, you were an altar boy, some of this stuff happened to these little boys, and they grew up being dysfunctional grown men who don't know how to love a woman, who don't know how to treat a woman, who have anger issues, resentment issues, bitterness issues. They're confused. Some of that is because they were messed up as children. Some of these women were little girls in the home where they were being touched. And y'all know what I'm talking about. Some of these little girls went to stay with auntie and they got touched by uncle or auntie's boyfriend. Some of these little girls grew up into women who are messed up. That's why so many relationship issues. Y'all around here talking about these dusty men or these trifling women. Y'all talking about these messed up relationships, but the relationships as adults you're in with these marriages and living together situations and dating issues stem from this mess right here. What happened in the home, what happened in the church growing up. I just had to put it out there. I know this is going to trigger some of you, but facts is fact. Sometimes parents learn their behavior from their mothers. Some of your mothers is just like her mother, your grandma. Some of your grandmothers is just like their mother, your great-great-grandmother. Some of you men who people say, your mama tell you sometimes, you just like your daddy. And you know what? She's probably right. But you know what? Your daddy is probably just like his daddy, your granddaddy. And your daddies and granddaddy is like great-granddaddy. So you got generational after generation after generation, nothing but dysfunction going on. So you see, some of this chaos, some of this abuse, it gets passed down from one generation to the next. When will it stop? When will it stop? And I am going to get on you pastors because some of you are part of this sickness. Some of you people have gone to for counseling and you've done nothing to help these people. Some of you, all you offer is, well, just pray. But let me change it real quick. I'm going to say this because I got some hot emails, and I don't think I'm going to even include some of these in them because a lot of them talk about stuff happened when people were children that happened in the church. Some of you pastors became the victimizers. Some of you victimized some of these very little children that came to you for help, that confided in you, that trusted you. Some professions, I'm gonna have to do a whole nother show. I already see this because the emails just stacking up about things that happen to children, kids when they were kids at school, with teachers, with adults who were put in positions of supposed to protect you. You're supposed to be able to feel comfortable and trust these people. And they violated these children. The homes that you grew up in. Even some of you went home and told your parents or your mother or father, whoever you live with, your grandparents, because we have a society now where the grandparents are raising the children, because guess what? Your mom and daddy can't do the right thing. They can't stay out of jail, can't stay off of substances or whatever the situation is. And I'm not talking about the ones whose parents have passed away. I'm talking about parents who still walking around here scot-free, that dumped children off on their parents or dumped them on their godparents or their aunties, and they just live their life on. Now that they done got older in their 50s and 60s, now they want to come back around like they was there for you. I'm just going to speak it because you know what? Pastor KZ is an advocate. I am in no judgment zone here, but I am advocating for those of you who writing these emails, because some of this stuff y'all write is sick. You can only dream about this stuff or see it in a movie, but this is somebody's life. When will this stuff stop? When does it end? Some families never get it. Some families, some of you watching today, have sit and listened at eulogies being preached, and you still got this stuff going on in your family. This stuff going on within the home. You got brothers and sisters who don't even speak to each other. Some of you got siblings that you don't hear from 1 month to the next. That shouldn't be. That just should not be. Some of you have aunts and uncles that don't even pick up the phone to call you, and your mama or your daddy has passed away, and that is your uncle, brother, or your auntie's sister, and then you don't hear from these people. But they'll say, I'm here if you need me. I shouldn't have to pick up the phone and call you, auntie. I shouldn't have to call you, unc. You know mama just passed, or you know daddy just passed, and you can't call me or stop by? I'm just saying this because these emails I got is saying all of this stuff. And some people don't want to talk about it. You don't want to hear about it. But this is the truth, and this has affected you. Y'all, we're going to keep talking about it. We're going to keep talking about it. Generational dysfunction. It's real. But you know what? In order to get yourself focused, you gotta peel back the layers of this stuff. All of this stuff that you've had hidden and tucked away in your nice little cubby hole has affected you year after year after year. And now that you're older, all you're doing is passing this same sickness off to your children, and they passing it. And when somebody gonna stop it? When is the generational cycle gonna end? Who does it end with? I'm sorry to say, it's just going on from year after year. Y'all, we got to get it together. Got to get it together. Got to get it together so you can get healed. You can look perfectly normal on the outside, and on the inside, you a mess. You're broken. You're walking around a shell of who you really could be, because you got so much hidden baggage, hidden generational issues that is affecting you. Y'all, let's talk about it. Let's work on it. Did you all do your assignment? I want you to continue to journal and continue to write down things as you remember it, or as you sit. Sometimes you have to sit and force yourself to even write this stuff down and to go back to that place to think about it, because it's painful. But you can do it. You're going to get better. Things will get better. And I believe somebody watching today, I believe the generational dysfunction is going to end with you, because you truly want help. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Come on back.